Hi everyone, welcome to week 2. I just want to say thanks for all your work during our first week of class. I really enjoyed reading everybody's introductory posts, learning about your major issues in education and where you see yourself on education and your personal philosophy. It was interesting to me. I usually have a lot of variety in where people represent themselves on their philosophies when I teach this class. But for this particular class, the majority of you reported yourselves as feeling like progressivism was the philosophy that you most related to and felt operationalized how you teach. So I thought that was very interesting. Obviously, with philosophies, there's no right or wrong stand to take in terms of where you believe and feel about education. It's just interesting to see where everybody's at. Also, the education issues that you selected saw some really great points brought out. Lots of conversations about testing, about teacher pay, class size, bullying, mental health, safety in schools. I enjoyed reading all of those points. And again, because I had the chance to read everybody's posts, I got to see there are a number of issues that are just emerging as being consistent across the class. And I'm not really surprised to see that, and you probably aren't either. Some of these issues that we're dealing with today are pervasive and require us to continue to tackle them and work on them. So with that being said, we are ready to move into week 2. So I want to take you down, and during this week, let's go down to week 2 first. I'm sorry, hopefully I won't give you motion sickness here. There's week 1, we're done with that. Here's week 2. All right, and as with every week, I provide for you the things you will be doing this week. This week we have 3 activities. You will read chapter 3 for textbook small group discussion. You will read chapter 4 and do your first individual text reflection. And our groups will now switch from week 1, and the group that replied last week will now be posting this week with their current events. Again, really nice job with the current events from the first week. Picked interesting articles, had really nice discussion about why it's important in education, why other people should read it. Please note, if you did not receive full points for this activity for your post, it is likely because you did not attend to all the elements of the rubric. And so if you have a question about that, you're welcome to email me and ask, where did I fall off and not get all the points? Okay. Again, it's not my desire to reduce your points, but I do want you to attend to the rubric. With that being said, let's go up and talk a little bit about the individual text reflection, because that will be the new activity for you this week. Here is the individual text reflection. And the purpose of this is just to really allow you to take on a chapter in a more thorough and contemplative manner. So with that, you're going to summarize the chapter in 1 or 2 paragraphs at the most. And then I want you to specifically address, did the chapter interest you? Why or why not? Tell why it did or didn't interest you. Share specific things from the chapter that were of interest to you. Explain how the chapter relates to teachers, administrators, and others working in the field of education, why you would or would not recommend the chapter to them. And then, in your final paragraph, address the overall content of the chapter and note if any of the issues are relevant today. A lot of the chapters you're going to read were written many years ago. And if you feel those concerns have changed in any way, if you feel schools have made an attempt to address them, I want you to talk about whether or not we've achieved what the author was proposing. So, with that, you can see I'm clearly expecting 3 to 4 paragraphs from you on your individual chapter reflection. Please know when I go to read your chapter reflection, I am going to be looking for these points that I just laid out for you. The summary, specifically addressing all of these points, and then that final paragraph addressing the overall intent and whether or not any of the issues are still relevant today, address if you feel they've changed in any way, etc., etc. And then finally, I'm looking at your writing style. It should be edited with attention to APA, using correct spelling and grammar. Everything should be double-spaced with size 12 font, Times New Roman, and be no more than 2 pages in length. I really would like you to shoot for 1 page, but often that's not really possible by the time you summarize, provide the specifics I'm looking for about analysis of it, and then that final concluding paragraph. So please, between 1 and 2 pages long, double spaced. Okay? With that, I'm going to jump back into are, sorry, just one second. I'm also going to jump back in and just remind you with the textbook discussions, here are our prompts. And you can see the small group discussion prompts for each week. And that is week 2. We are on chapter 3, and there's your discussion question. And it will go that way all the way along. Okay? With, just one second here, I'm going to go back. With the small group discussions that we're going to do, they're going to function basically like what you're doing with your current events, where you post and then you respond. What's a little bit different, sorry, let me get in the right week here. What's a little bit different is that you are all broken up into groups, okay? So there's 4 or 5 of you per group, and you will work as a small group. You will read everyone's posts and then pick one at a minimum to respond to. And remember, I have specific criteria up in the instructions under what I expect for you on a response. Also, please remember what I'm looking for in terms of your post. I'll just go to that right now. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah. Here's textbook small group scoring. First and foremost, when you go to do your small group posting, it needs to be done, the initial post to the chapter answering the question needs to be done by Sunday night. If you do not have it in on Sunday night, if it's in after midnight on Sunday night, I will take points off. Please be aware of that. Also, you then have through Wednesday, the rest of the week, to do your response to at least one post of someone in your group. So here's what I'm expecting is that number 1, you provide a carefully written response to the assigned questions with a minimum of 100 to 150 words. That's 2 to 3 paragraphs. If I open up your post and I see one paragraph without even reading it, you're pretty much guaranteed that I'm not going to be able to give you all the points. There is a lot of meat in these chapters. You should have no problem developing at least 2 quality paragraphs around the topic of the chapter. I'm expecting to provide evidence and support for your statements in in-text citations. I want you to use APA citations, form and style. Anytime you're quoting, obviously you need to use in-text citations. You don't need to get super detailed for me on APA, and I am honestly not going to be correcting it, but I want you to be in the habit of doing it. And so if you're not sure how to format for in-text citations, I encourage you to use your APA manual. It will help you know what to do. The great thing is you're working with only one chapter, so it's clear you're always talking about the same author. So you don't have that issue as compared to when you're writing a paper where you're comparing and contrasting multiple authors. Okay? I will also tell you that if you want to use a different format, if you feel like you would do much better in a video or a podcast that you want to use to talk about and discuss the question I posed to the chapter, you're also invited to do that. I want to give you opportunities to present information in the ways that you prefer. Please know that I'm still expecting significant content with a video or podcast. Then you're going to provide a robust and thoughtful response to that is at least 3 sentences long to one of your classmates. It should directly address the points that they made in their post and also bring out anything that you think is relevant, comparing and contrasting your opinions, or just providing commentary. I've already seen some really nice conversation back and forth where someone will ask a question, another person will answer it, and then they'll have a nice back and forth. So I really do encourage that. That makes the class so much more of a community and so much more supportive for our own learning, because each of you has incredible knowledge and background, and I want you to tap into that to the best of your abilities. So that is our textbook small group discussion posts. All right, I'm going to navigate back again to our main page and then just hit on a reminder. These are our groups this week. Group 1 will be finding an article in the current public media, online, something that was done in your local news, cable TV, something that the general public can access about education. And then group 2, your job is just to respond to that post. Pick one and respond with something that's fairly robust, commenting on what they shared. Okay, so that's week 2. Again, I am enjoying getting to know all of you, and I know you're going to do great this week. My one final piece that I want to share with you is that the chapter we are reading, chapter 4, Overcoming a Desperate Stasis, is not easy. It is probably one of the most complex chapters we will read this semester. So I encourage you to read it and read it again, and then maybe read it a third time. I know I always reread it every semester when I go to grade your textbook reflections. It is a challenging read. Don't take it at face value. You need to really dig deep into it. So with that warning, I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to everything you're doing online. Goodbye.